Ladies and gents, today I wanted to make a video highlighting an issue I'm sure many of you are affected by. Terrible performance on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions of GTA Online, obviously on their respective consoles. Having gone back to the PS4, PS4 Pro and base Xbox One versions of the game to kind of see for myself just how bad it really is, I honestly was just shocked at how horrible the performance is on those consoles. I've done previous tests before with FPS tests and that sort of stuff when the current gen consoles were coming out, and then compared it to that version to see if they were actually finally hitting 30 FPS. At that time, the performance already was dipping to 15 FPS, and I think at this moment in time, it probably is being more consistently 15 to 20 FPS than anywhere above that, which is honestly just unacceptable, really. It's downright unplayable. Now, obviously, because the account that I'm using is on the current version of the game and I don't have any sort of upgraded vehicles, I couldn't really get some high speeds. But having driven the stock cars off the streets, I don't think I even want to. The game performance is downright unacceptable, and it's giving me some major flashbacks to the summer of 2014 when similar issues were happening on the Xbox 360, and it also crashed a bunch. I'm not sure if that's happening on the old gen versions of the game, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. I generally think that I must have had moments where my FPS definitely dropped down all the way to like 10 FPS in a populated lobby. It was so laggy on Xbox One that the phone call audio was playing before the phone was even on the screen. Yes, it's that kind of bad.
Hey, you don't know me, but a connection of mine told me.
And in order to get an idea just how large the scope of this problem is, I did a poll on both Twitter as well as on my YouTube community page. To those who voted, thank you very much. And the numbers on here are obviously not going to be representative of the entire community, but with about 20,000 votes, it will give you a good idea of what we're dealing with here. On Twitter, 22.5% were on the old gen versions, which was roughly 1,000 people, whereas on the YouTube side of things, about 5,000 people that voted on the poll were still on old gen. Adding all those numbers together, and you got yourself about 30% of the people that voted on these polls that are actually still on old gen. Nearly a third of the player base that voted on the polls. Now again, this is just votes and it doesn't tell you the full story, but I wouldn't be surprised if these numbers would also represent what is going on in the live game. But is Rockstar going to try and fix this? Probably not, because if it bothers you so much, just buy the new version of the game. You know, that version does work. I mean, just look at the reflections. Oh wait, it's 30 FPS with input lag. Never mind. But is there a reason for anyone to upgrade to the new versions outside of the fact that your game is actually going to be playable? I'm not too sure. With inflation running rampant and many countries around the world having a PS5 cost almost double the price of the MSRP in the quote-unquote rich countries, it's hard to really justify the purchase for just simply one game. And if we're going to be honest about the current gen games, even exclusives are still playable on PS4, so is there really a need to upgrade? Focusing back on GTA Online, that argument would still stand. All the DLCs that are being released are still being put on the old gen consoles too, and obviously are hurting performance even further with each release. While the current gen consoles were going to be the new way to play the game with upgrades and whatnot, at least that's what Rockstar claimed when it was announced. Sadly, we haven't really seen the power of these current gen consoles being utilized at all. 60 FPS is nice, and so are the HSW upgrades, but that's pretty much it. The differences between old gen and current gen is basically non-existent except for GTA Plus. And let's be honest, that isn't entirely exciting to have as an exclusive compared to a previous version, considering it costs money. So what I'm wondering is, isn't it time for Rockstar to start focusing on fixing the old gen versions to run better and focus on the current gen versions to make better and more interesting DLCs? Because I feel like in a way that they might be held back by still needing to release their DLCs on the old gen versions of the game. What I would propose for Rockstar to do is to continue to release some of these smaller stuff like vehicles and modes, maybe a weapon, you know, that's kind of the similar size that we're getting now with the past two DLCs. Those old gen consoles will probably still be able able to handle that, and there you go, you know, you still have a little something something. And then on the current gen versions, then kind of just push the boundaries and kind of have a reason for people to own the current gen console versions of the game, because, you know, if people bought the new versions of the game under the assumption that the upgrade would allow Rockstar to take the GTA Online DLC to a step forward, then, you know, they might be feeling a little bit foolish. Yeah, sadly. But having said that, I do want to stress that I don't want those last gen folks to just be completely left out and have their servers just completely shut down and just to be told either you upgrade or you don't play GTA Online anymore. I don't think it would even make sense for Rockstar to do that because, well, with the active player base that is still going on those consoles, I'm pretty darn certain that from a financial standpoint, it would be career suicide. But at the same time, I would also really like Rockstar to start using that extra power of the current gen consoles for something else than reflections in 30 FPS, because I don't know about you, but my game is currently glued to performance mode and for some reason it is impossible to get it off. It's just really weird and annoying, but not really. I'd say in order to fix old gen, I don't think it would hurt to start removing some of the lesser played clutter in the game. I know what's going to happen when they do that though. The moment they remove something, then suddenly everyone has their favorite game mode removed or their favorite thing, and now they're mad at Rockstar for removing it. But if it helps performance of the game, why not? But that's it for this one. I just wanted to highlight the issue here and also share some of my thoughts. If you have yours, let me know in the comments below. Leave a like, subscribe, and become a member if you like what you see on the channel, like Chloe, KFC Chicken, Not Fatigue, and GTA Plus. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all later.